For thousands of years, most ancient cultures use the power of sound in healing. And unfortunately, sound healing almost disappeared until the 1930s when acoustic researchers, discovered ultrasound and its medical benefits. Today, I'm going to ask you to imagine what would it be like if the power of sound could heal beyond your expectations? And what if your voice was the pathway to that healing? What would it mean to you and your loved ones? Hi, I'm Lynn Sanders, a story marketing coach and the host of Difference Makers Media, sponsored here right live for you at the Difference Makers. I am so happy and thankful that you are here today because I feel this program, today especially, could make a huge difference in your life. It might make the difference you've been looking for. I am really, really excited to be here, so I'm asking all of you to please put your name and where you're hanging out from in the comments stream. We seem to be having a little technical difficulties with our comment tracker today, but we will do our best to recognize you and notice you. And this is your chance to engage with our host, Shira Hunt, who is a vibrational therapist and teacher. And today, I'm very excited. I noticed I forgot to blue box myself, a white box. So welcome, I'm Lynn Sanders. And I want to also acknowledge my wonderful co-host and wingman, Roland Takaoka, who is the host of the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties and the founder and director of R&D Hotline. Roland, would you just say hello to everyone and let us know where you're hanging out from?
Hi. Southern California is a sunny Southern California as usual, and very few cloudy days lately. But I'm in Rancho Santa Margarita, which is a small community outside of Irvine in SoCal.
Thank you, Roland. I want to give you a little bit of backstory about how I discovered Shira. I tend to believe that important events in our lives are something that we're led to, they're meant to be. And the way I met Shira was not just through a Google search or just looking up vibrational therapists, because I actually never even heard of something like that before. But my husband, Joel Sanders, is a holistic dentist, and we've been involved in learning and benefiting from alternative therapies for many years. He was attending an energy seminar, and he happened to meet Shira at this program, and he was really impressed by her vibrant energy and what she was talking about, how you can heal through vibrational therapy. So he decided that he would go for her treatments. And of course, I was very curious to learn more about this myself. I'm a musician and very interested in the power of sound and healing. So I decided to contact Shira, and I was so intrigued and impressed by her story and by what she can do that I myself decided to go for a vibrational treatment program, which takes a series of weeks, and you're going to learn more about it. So, without further ado, let me introduce Shira Hunt. I'm just going to make this brief for you. Besides being a vibrational therapist and teacher, Shira is an international speaker. She is a musician, and she also is a singer-songwriter and had been a nurse for many years. She had been trained in alternative holistic therapies and also esoteric teachings in a unique and powerful program of using frequency therapy to bring the body back into harmonic resonance. I know this may sound like something really new, but she's going to explain it all to you. So without further ado, let's all welcome Shira Hunt. Shira, welcome. Tell us where you're hanging out from and how you're feeling today.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm blessed to be present with this group today. I'm hanging out from Las Casas, Tennessee at this time in my life. And don't know that I'll be here forever, but this is where I am now. It is a sunny day here too, beautiful, cool air this morning, so it's rocking out this way. I'm excited to be able to share this time and to help all of you reclaim your personal power, your vibrant health, and an abundant way of life, whatever it is that you might want in your life. I came into this work through a bad car accident in the year of 2000. I was nursing at the time. I was also a holistic therapist, and so I understood the mind-body connection energetically, but I was working full-time as a nurse. And the car accident shattered a number of bones on my right side, and I had what they call a compound fracture, where the bones literally came out the front of my leg at the lower portion of my right leg. those bones were shattered into more than 14 pieces, the tibia and fibula. At that time, I was told by the specialist that it would not heal and that I needed to amputate below the knee. And I went into freak out. Being a nurse, I understood the prognosis. I understood what was happening. The epiphysis had been broken. They felt like that bone could never make tissue again, and so it couldn't repair itself. And I couldn't say, okay. I couldn't. It was my body, and all of a sudden I was facing a whole different environment than I faced with my patients. And I understood and came to many, many valuable lessons through that piece of bone. But I had them put the bones back together. They reapproximated, and with about 3 pins, they pinned all the pieces to a titanium plate. And I was in that state for about 6 months. They were taking x-rays every 3 weeks. And in 6 months, I had no bone growth. And so at the end of 6 months, they said, time's up. They said, we're taking you off the antibiotics because of the wound in the front of my leg where the bones had exited. They had been filling me with antibiotics so I wouldn't get an infection, but nobody was really addressing the wound. And so at that time I was told they were removing the antibiotic therapy and that I would have to have the amputation or I could be gangrene or sepsis from the wound. So I said, give me 1 more month. I want to search for alternative therapies. And because I had a good insurance plan, I went into my insurance plan to see if it covered anything alternative. And they covered 2 therapies. One was shock therapy, and one was frequency therapy. And here I was a nurse for 25 years, and I had never even heard of frequency therapy. I had no clue what it was, but it sounded a little kinder than shock therapy. So I opted to look into that. And when I went into that information, what I found was they can provide frequency through a small ultrasound machine. And they...
One second, it's a little bit hard to hear. Could you repeat that last part for us?
Sure. They provide frequency through a ultrasound machine. So I had a little portable ultrasound machine that I was given set at the frequency of bone. Who would know that bone had a frequency? I would strap that on my leg for about an hour and a half every day, and the wave pattern of bone was being fed into my body by this machine. Now, something really amazing happened when I put that machine on my leg. For the first time since the car accident, I felt something in my leg. The only thing I could get in my leg at that time was pain, and I had no control of it. Like I could talk to my toes and my feet, it wouldn't move. So when I felt that sensation from that machine, I got really excited, and I knew that this was going to work. I didn't know how, I didn't know why, but it didn't matter. So I started to use that, and within 3 weeks, I had the first bone growth showing. In 3 weeks of using the ultrasound machine, which was feeding the frequency of bone into my leg. That sent me on huge research. It took about 2 years. I was in a cast for 2 years using frequency. And during that time, I fell on one other really valuable piece of information. And I had a Healing Touch practitioner who was a friend of mine, and she was coming and doing treatments on me once a month. She was bringing a crystal bowl. Not the Tibetan like you have, but crystal, but it has very much the same kind of effects. And she was playing a bowl during my treatments. One day, she played a bowl that made my leg respond the same way that the ultrasound machine did. And I came up off that table, and I said, what frequency is that bowl? And she said, what are you talking about? I said, what frequency is it? She said, how would I know? I said, that bowl is the frequency of bone. It's creating the sensation in my leg that the ultrasound machine does. And then I got really excited, because it dawned on me in that moment, wait a minute, if that bowl's the frequency of bone, what are the other bowls the frequency of? And what does that mean to us? Well, that's what started me on a pathway into vibrational medicine, was my own accident and the use of sound and the effect that it had on my body during that tragic time.
Wow. You know, Sheila, I want to just add something here that many people probably would not have done what you did, to have a cast for 6 months and tell us, you would describe to me privately what your leg looked like when the cast was taken off, and also what do you think most people would have done, or what doctors were saying to you? Because I think it's really important for everyone listening here to be aware that we are in control of our own health, and we don't have to listen to doctors or get second opinions. So tell us what your leg looked like and what you were thinking.
So that was a little bit of a scary time for me, because as a nurse I had been a wound care treatment years prior, so I understood wounds. And when they removed the cast at the end of 6 months, the top of that wound was full of green necrotic tissue. And I was not infected because I was full of antibiotics, but there was a lot of dead old tissue in that wound and nobody was addressing it. And at that point, I demanded of my doctors, I want a portable cast that can be removed because I'm going to take care of that wound. Because I knew if I didn't, I would have trouble as soon as the antibiotics were stopped, you know. And the problem, I think, with the allopathic medical environment is that we're a nurse. I was a big piece of this realm, so I'm not poo-pooing it. It has powerful uses. And for instance, if they had not put those bones back together, I would not have been able to heal them. There are lots of places that environment is necessary and needed, especially in traumatic situations, in any kind of wounding or accidents. We need the help to put ourselves back together. But we have a very tunneled vision in that line of work of just what we're taught. And so the doctors are doing the best they can, and they're doing everything they can with what they're taught. The problem is we don't have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system.
Say that again, please, Shira, because it's hard to hear. Please.
Okay. I said we don't have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system.
A sick care system.
Yeah, sick care is that we're focused on everything that is wrong, and we're not telling people that they have the power within themselves to change that, and we're not teaching people how to have maintenance, good, healthy bodies, so that they don't find themselves in the doctor's office with chronic diseases because their immune systems are depleted, because they're not eating properly, and they don't. I mean, truly, every doctor I ever worked with, they were very honest with me. They'd say to me, I didn't really have any nutritional training. I'm like, wait a minute, 4 to 6 years of teaching and you didn't have nutritional training? What does that mean? But that's not what they use in their work. And that's a huge piece of our self-care, of staying healthy, being vibrant. You know, what are we putting in our bodies?
You had told me that also insurance companies don't even have to mention alternative therapies until 6 months after you have the condition. Is that correct?
There are certain types of therapies that insurance won't cover until you're at the point of no return. You know, this was one of the things that I found as a nurse. In long-term care facilities, you can't get a protective mattress, which is like an air mattress that fluctuates and moves to keep a person's body from breaking down when they're still, when they can't move themselves. You know, when a person has a physical issue that they can't get themselves up out of the bed and they have to lay still, these beds create different pressures so that their body doesn't get ulcers. Because any place where you have a lot of pressure pushing into one spot for a long amount of time, it cuts off the circulation to the tissue dies, and an ulcer is created. That's what bed ulcers or stasis ulcers are. And so I couldn't get a bed like that for a lot of my patients until they had an ulcer, until it was too late.
So that's why it points out how important it is for people to know about alternative therapies so they can heal.
Exactly. And it's not, and I'm not saying anything against, you know, the medical realm. I'm just saying you have options. Don't think that's the only route. You know, open your mind to all of the other options so that you know one of the most powerful pieces that this human race has is the ability to make choice. That's one of our gifts. Choice in every second of our life. We get to choose. So make some really valuable, loving choices for yourself. Don't give your power away to the doctor or the therapist, and even alternative therapies. Don't give your power away. Ask questions. Say no if it doesn't feel good. Say, I want to try something else. This one makes me cringe inside. You know, if your body will tell you yes or no if you'll listen to it.
Right. So this leads us perfectly into what exactly is frequency therapy. What is a vibrational therapy? I would love you to explain what it is and why does it work? What makes it effective?
Okay. Our whole world is frequency. Everything is. Science knows this. If you don't know this, hook up with Dr. Bruce Lipton on a few YouTubes and let him take you into some of that. But here's the thing. Our whole world is frequency. Frequency creates vibration. Vibration makes a sound. Sound manifests creation. So
Again, sound manifests in what?
Manifest creation, everything. Everything comes from sound, from frequency, from vibration, from sound. Everything does. Okay? This is one of the reasons why your voice is so important. If you're just throwing it out there, speaking all kinds of garbage, you're producing garbage in your world. You're creating a space of that. So it behooves us to become aware of everything that's coming out of our mouth, everything that we're saying. Okay, but the way that this actually is affected by the voice is if everything is sound and everything gets created through sound, your voice is actually a creative tool. You are a human tuning fork, so to speak. You are full of vibrations. You are a symphony of sound. Every one of your sound cells have a home sound, a process that is unique to it, okay? Those cells come together and create this being. When that process gets out of balance, when you take in too much in your field that isn't healthy, that isn't vibrating in the harmonic resonance of your perfected being, you will begin to get sick. When the frequencies get out of balance, it creates dis-ease or disease. And so many of our chronic illnesses are a process of where we've had fits. The way that frequency speaks to us is through emotion. Okay? The very first response in our physical bodies from the electromagnetic field, the place that some alternative therapists call auras, this is an actual field and it can be measured with instruments now. Okay? This is no longer just a thought or somebody's dream. We know it real. We have scientific evidence. That field is constantly interacting with every frequency in your world, and those frequencies are affecting you whether you hear them or not. Okay, the human hearing process is from about 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That's how much we can actually hear. Dogs are twice that. Cats are 3 times that. Dolphins, whales are 200 times.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, so our hearing capacity is really quite small, for what the planet actually gives us and what is in our spaces on a regular basis. So know that a lot of what is affecting you in the frequency realm, you're not hearing it, but you will feel it if you get sensitive enough.
So let's pause for a moment, just repeat what you just said. This is really important. What you're saying is that we are affected not only by what we consciously hear, but what we are picking up unconsciously. Is that correct, Shira?
Yes, or even not even picking it up unconsciously. It's just in your energetic field.
So if we are hearing words or sounds that are unpleasant, then we ourselves are being affected by that in a deep level. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Everything affects us, right? And I don't know if you're familiar with the Dr. Emoto's studies about water. Okay,
You can tell the group about that.
Okay, so water, Dr. Emoto did some amazing studies where he took water and he infused them with words, simple words. And he froze this water and then he put them under these high-powered microscopes to see what happened to them. The power of his studies is that water was genetically changed. It literally, the format of the water changed by the words. Negative words created these blobby, ugly, just look like muddy clouds. Where beautiful words like, love, peace, those things, gratitude, those things created these magnificent crystals. Well, to me, what is the power of that information? Your body is 70% water. 70 or more % water. Your blood is made up of tons of water. Everything in you is water. Okay? So when you think about that, what you speak, what you hear, what comes into your environment, all of your cells are being affected by that. One really simple tool that I use in the frequency world is when a person has this kind of repetitive negative language, I help them to see, you keep saying I'm broken, you keep saying I'm wrong, you keep saying, oh, what are you telling? You know, Bruce Lipton says your cells are eavesdropping on everything you say. You know, so what are you telling your cells when you speak like that? So when we get a game plan, when you have a negative language pattern, the minute you hear yourself say, you have something else that you can say in response to it. Oh, okay, so I'm broken, but in this moment, I'm open to heal. In this moment, I choose joy. I choose peace, regardless of being broken. I choose peace. The minute you bring in the positive information, the cells begin to shift and support you in the movement.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us, you know, this is really, I think, very, I've known this because of our association. I think Roland wants to say something. Just a moment, Roland. But I think we're going to take some comments and questions, but I think it's important now to lead into exactly what you do that helps people heal, because I think what you have mentioned here is so important that we all have to be so conscious of our thoughts and our words, because those thoughts and words will manifest into symptoms, either positive or negative, depending on what we're telling ourselves, and it goes at a cellular level. So Roland, now, would you be kind enough to share what are some of the comments that are coming in or questions?
Gladly. And Pamela Zeman has come up with a really good question that I'll wrap up my little stint with. But I wanted to comment about what everybody is saying, because they are captivated by what you're saying, and the subject is Shira. So Chili Beans says, exactly, these things aren't being taught because healthcare is big business. And Tammy Durden says, so true that we have a sick care system. John Quatal says, I strongly believe in frequency medicine. I've been helped immensely with my chronic health issues by using frequency medicine. Richard Clarkson is with us today. And these people are all commenting, and they're just very much into the subject matter. But Pamela Zima had an exquisite question. I don't want to get too far off the track, but maybe we could address it quickly or save it for later. Let me know what you think. Pamela Zima said, if sound can heal, which I believe that it does, can it also do damage? In other words, screeching children, barking dogs, sirens, etc. If so, what can we do to reduce the effects of undesirable sound?
Okay, I think that's a good, we can address that, and then we're going to go into the techniques of what you do, Shira. Would you answer that question for Pamela and our group?
Sure. And yes, it can do harm as well as wonder. And the harm that we get in long-term disease processes are just that, from constant frequencies that are out of balance with us. There's a little technique that I learned from one of my very first years when I first found people who actually did this, because I was doing it before I found anybody else. But Dr. Wayne Perry teaches a technique, and he has a beautiful book on sound healing. But he teaches a technique that a sound that is irritating you or bothering you, you can make that sound with your own voice, okay? And you can create that sound with your own voice and just bring it with everything you have in you until it loses its power.
Wow.
That's what happens. And this is kind of like the woman who can break a glass with her voice. Okay? What's happening there is, what you'll see is they'll ping the glass and they get the tone, and then they sound that exact tone back into the glass. The frequency pattern can only hold so much of that frequency, and then it becomes unstable. It's overwhelming, okay? And so it will begin to shimmer and shake, and then it pops. So that's what happens when you bring a sound. Like, let's do a jackhammer. Okay, there was a jackhammer sounding, and we all made the sound of the jackhammer, and before you knew it, all of a sudden, we didn't even hear the jackhammer anymore. It wasn't bothering us. It was like it was no longer even in our field. So we shattered, what we shattered was actually the connection of it kind of pounding on us. We created a safe zone of acceptance, and release. So
Wow.
Wow.
yeah, there's lots of powerful tools, and that's what I do in my work. First, I do voice printing.
Yes.
Voice printing shows me what your frequencies look like. Your voice carries every frequency in your body. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. It's sounded through your voice. This is one of the reasons why your voice is so powerful. Okay? So we have you speak into a microphone, we take all of your frequencies and we print out a graph of them. All right? There's lots of different frequency programs, and I have some free videos on my website if you go there in your free time that will really explain this process very simply and clearly for anybody who's not familiar with it. But basically what happens is we take the print, I look at it, and I read it. Now all facilitators read voice prints differently. Okay? And the programs that I use are even created to use the programs to suggest supplements for people, pills for people. That's not how I use voice printing. I use voice printing to go right into emotion, physical, what's happening right now in your world. So I read the print, and then we will decide upon your print what frequencies you need to come back into harmonic resonance.
All right, so Shira, I'm going to stop for a moment and let everyone see a sample voice print, because I know this is a new thing for most people. I've never heard of it. But imagine a graph, and I'm going to ask Roland if you can pull up a voice print for us that Shira has done. And you can then explain a little bit about what that means, Shira. Are you able to do that for us, Roland?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, Shira, could you explain a little bit about what this voice print's all about?
Okay, this particular program was created by Sherry Edwards. So this program has all voice printing programs is going to speak to us through notes. Okay, so the way we see the frequencies are through a full octave of notes from C to C. So if you do any kind of music, you understand what a full octave is. If you don't do music, it's a series of 12 notes that start at C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, like when you used to do do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, like that. That's a full octave. Okay, so if you are in strong harmonic resonance, healthy, vibrant, spiritually aligned, what if we're going to see is a pretty level voice print. You're going to have all of your frequencies are going to hit right around the mid-40s, and you're going to be, well proportioned, so to speak. Okay, and what's happening in this print, as you see, there's some spikes. There's really low areas. There's really high areas. And the way that I work with that is we take the really low areas, which is what you are depleted in. Now, you have all these frequencies in your body, but sometimes they're not awake. And when they're not awake, you won't show any hits in them at all, or very few. If that chakra or energy system, the note is open, you may have a few little hits in it, but you're not well balanced. And when you're not well balanced, it tells me things. Like the C's and D's are very simply grounding, physical, masculine energy. If you're missing those, here is the place that you are in trouble in the sense of you could be getting health issues if you don't get those rectified, because your body needs that vibrant, strong, masculine energy to heal itself. Okay? So that's how I use the print. That's what happens when whenever we look at the print, we read what's out of balance, and then we bring the frequencies that you're depleted in, and we help you entrain to those every day. Now, there's also some information on entrainment on the videos on my website. If you're not familiar with that, entrainment is how our world works, period. Okay? Our world works by different frequencies coming in to each other and determining which is the strongest frequency, and we begin to vibrate and we align with frequencies. The stronger frequency will pull other frequencies in and change it. Okay? So if you have a frequency that you're getting repetitively over and over and over again, like say maybe in your work environment that's not really healthy for you, your body will begin to entrain to it, and it will begin to produce that frequency within you, and it will get you out of balance.
So just for the people seeing the graph, the very far left, I don't know if they can read it, is the letter C. And then we have the C sharp and D, so it goes all the way up the musical scale, correct, Shira?
Correct.
And so the ones that are way out of alignment, that big red, and each of these colors represent different things, that means there's too much of it, correct?
And a lot of times when we are like stuck in a pattern, we've created something in our life that really doesn't serve us, but we're good at it. It's a tool that we use. You know, it can be, you can get a spike like that because you're feeding a lot of energy to that one frequency. When I first found printing, and I took my print, I went, oh, this is crap, this doesn't work. I was like in total denial of what I was looking at because there were two things in my print. I had these huge spikes in F sharp and G. And the way that I read the print, F sharp is our high heart, humanitarianism, giving to everyone else. And I was the ultimate martyrer. I knew how to do that. I learned that from my mother. She was wonderful at it. And so right to the point of going into nursing so that I could give to everybody, you know. And I was a professional singer. And G is the throat chakra. And so my G was high sky too. I had no C's and D's present in my chart at all.
And what were those C's and D's representative? Each of these frequencies represent something. So could you share
right.
what that
If you're familiar with the chakra centers, the C is the root, the D is the sacral, the E is the solar plexus, and I'll go back and give you some physical information too.
That would be helpful.
F is the heart, G is the throat, A is the third eye, and B is the crown. Where did we go? Where did the scale go? Okay, so ultimately, every piece of your body has a home resonant frequency, you know, that's fairly strong in those notes. The other way that we can look at that, if we look at it from the nursing perspective, this is one of the things that happens for me. I kind of integrate all of my worlds, is that the C, the root chakra, is physical, grounding, bones. It's about bones, okay? The note that the ultrasound machine was feeding into my body was a C. So low that I couldn't hear it, but that's what the frequency was.
That meant you needed help with your bone.
Yeah, because I needed help with my bones. That's the C frequency. It's an earth frequency. It's a grounding frequency. It's literally a regenerative frequency for cells, okay? D is going to be more about your sexual energy, your physical creativity. It also walks hand in hand with the C. These are both grounding frequencies, and they're both physical body frequencies. E is your personal power. E, I mean, I was also in the line of nursing. I was in a gastroenterology clinic for a number of years.
Uh-oh. I think we lost the sound on Shira. Shira,
well, she froze for a moment, so let's give it a moment and see.
It's getting very exciting here about the power of tones as related to what that means to our life.
The energy being generated is above and beyond what Hangouts can handle.
Yeah, I think so. I'm hoping, Shira. Oh, you got back to. Oh, you were on E, Shira, and we lost your sound.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, we're back now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so
we lost almost a minute. Yeah.
Okay, so did you hear the E, or did you want me to finish that?
Yeah, please finish with E. We didn't hear what that was representative.
E is about the gut, the gastro system, and your personal power. Okay, so anytime that you are not being true to yourself, out of integrity, selling yourself out, not listening to your emotions, doing a job that makes you money but makes you crazy, you know, you're going to start having gut problems. Whether that comes in the form of not being able to absorb your nutrients as well, having gut pain, having constipation, not, you know, eating stuff that is unhealthy for your body, you'll go to all kinds of extremes if you have a problem with the Z frequency. F is the heart. F is your personal love of self. And yeah, and this is one for women. The F and F sharp, which is what happened for me, gets so out of balance. Is that F sharp is humanitarianism, everybody else's is your high heart. Women oftentimes will have a really high F sharp and very little, if any, F, because they're giving everything away. So we kind of have to turn that pattern around, and in our culture, that's not okay. You know, it's like, you can't give to yourself, that's selfish. Well, I want everyone to replace the word selfish with self-love, and you can't be present for another until you are present for yourself. That's the truth of it. You know, and I learned that the hard way. That was part of the car accident, slapping me down to get right with myself. So that's what the F is. This is also about any kind of chest problems, heart palpitations, anxiety. is often around this frequency, okay? G, throat chakra. This is about your throat, ears, eyes, okay? It will encompass everything in this area. And if you have chronic problems with your throat or vision going blurry or having trouble with your hearing, we're probably working with something about speaking your truth, being in integrity, or just having your voice at all. Many of us have no voice. Children should be seen and not heard. We learned that very young. You know, and so our culture has a lot of issues with the throat chakra because of that. So there's that piece. Then we go to in the alternative area, or this, to me, if we're going to go into the physical realm, relates very strongly to the pineal gland and your kind of
that's the emotion.
Internal vision, your intuition. Pardon?
The pineal gland has to do with the emotions, correct?
Well, and the pineal gland is, I mean, this is a huge gland that activates lots of things in the body. If you don't know anything about the pineal gland, it's big, okay? And so, yeah, so that particular, and that gland, a lot of us have issues with it because of fluoride in our world. Fluoride calcifies the pineal gland and shuts off a lot of its processes, which creates some really unhealthy spaces for us. So this particular frequency then is going to help you be clearer, okay, in your thought process. Be able to listen more to what you're feeling rather than what they're telling you or what you think is the right thing to do rather than what you feel you want to do, okay? We get this clear, we get more in touch with spirit, which is really kind of our heart energy speaking to us, right? The B, the crown chakra, this is more about people who have a lot of headaches, sleeping problems, you know, don't have any faith. Say they don't have faith. How can we have faith in anything? You know, that's what this piece is about. So there's emotional and physical aspects to all of them along with the energetic aspects. When I do this work, I marry all of that because I have teachings in everything. And so we kind of we go into the core. Here's one of the most valuable and beautiful pieces about voice printing.
Yes.
That you don't have to know what those problems are. You don't have to know what the issue is. If you see that the frequency is missing, we start there. We might not have a clue. My C's and D's, boy, I'm telling you, it took me months to figure out what those were because they were painful for me. They were about abuse as a child. And so I released those frequencies. I literally didn't want anything to do with that because I thought it was ugly and mean and horrible. Okay, so when we begin to understand what those frequencies are, a lot of times happens after we get the frequencies woke up. We don't necessarily know ahead of time, but when we start in training the frequencies back into the body and the body starts to resonate those frequencies, we start getting clear. Okay, and many times when that happens in that way through frequency, it's not as painful. It's not as painful as being hit with the information of what happened to you, you know, and kind of coming at it like a storm. It's much gentler. It's more loving. You know, when we spoke earlier about diffusing the sounds that were really painful or hard for us, there's another technique besides making the sound, which to me it's almost bringing the war. You know, do it back, do it back, do it back until you don't feel it anymore, okay? And my journey has been leaving the war and coming to love. And so one of the things that I uncovered in the frequency work is that you can also balance a frequency that you don't like by sounding the opposite frequency. And I have like this color wheel that I created. It's on my website, and the color wheel has all the frequencies in a circle on it. It also tells you what astrological signs are related to each frequency because you have a birth note, a note that is prevalent in your chart. But it will tell you this. If this frequency is causing pain in your body, if you go directly across the wheel to the opposite frequency, and you get still and you start to sound that frequency on every exhale, you can decrease the pain by bringing in a very gentle, loving way, the opposite frequency.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's one of the tools that I uncovered because I'm looking to be in love.
Right. I'd
I
like
feel
you
that's why I'm here.
Shira, would you give us a demonstration? So you've done a beautiful voice analysis, so everyone knows this is right. Voice analysis of what each frequency means to our body. Now, would you share with us how you do the entrainment? You were talking to me about the hey, he, ah, oh, ooh, how you get out these blockages, and then what you do to create, as you said, the opposite feeling, to create those positive energies.
Sure. I have what Lynn is talking about with the hey, he, ha, ho, hoo are ancient vowel sounds. And I teach people how to bring those in really powerful ways to release the energies that are stuck. So those big spikes that we see in the chart are oftentimes old patterns. And sometimes we don't really want to release them. We're comfortable there. You know? So I teach you how to release that frequency, get it moving, kind of get it flowing, and then we do a process called entrainment. The entrainment is what was happening to my leg with the ultrasound machine and then later with the crystal bowls. The entrainment is a process of creating tracks. Now you can do this with your own voice, and I always encourage that, and we're going to touch on why, because there's a really powerful reason why it's best to do it with your own voice. But you can listen. I have my clients listen to 20 minutes of tracks every single day in the frequencies that they are depleted in. So the things that we want to bring more of in our print, I have them listen to that sound. Many of my clients fall asleep to the tracks. And the reason being is because I uncovered in all of my research that through sleep studies, we've learned that when you go into midnight reverie, this is the point in time in sleep where you fall into theta brainwave pattern. Right as you're doing that, anything that you're listening to or thinking about, this is powerful information, so listen up, anything that you're listening to or thinking about reiterates itself for about 3 to 4 hours in your brain when you fall asleep. So if you're listening to the news when you fall asleep, oh God, I send you love, you know, or if you're thinking, oh, the day went so bad. Oh, we get more of that in our sleep all night, you know. But if you are listening to your entrainment tracks, you're going to get the frequencies that you need for another 3 or 4 hours. Okay? So a lot of my clients will do that with their work. But you have to do the entrainment process for a minimum of 21 days. Okay? We need the repetition for the body to believe that this is what I need to do. I need to get back into this harmonic resonance, into this perfected space. Okay? We're teaching the body that, and we're doing it through repetition with the frequencies. Okay?
So you're creating, I'd like you to show our audience the example of your crystal singing bowl.
Oh, sure.
And so they can see what this looks like, because it's not the same as this Tibetan singing bowl out of brass. And what you do to create this beautiful resonance of sound would, I think, be really interesting for people to hear.
Okay, give me just a second. I'm just switching a setting here so that you're in the right mode. And what I'm going to do is actually use a very...
Uh-oh. I think we've lost your sound again. I think there's so much energy flying here, Roland, that... oh, here we go.
Okay. And what I'm going to do is just a little bit of a sounding process, and I use the crystal bowls to create tracks for entrainment. We don't use words, we just use sound.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share it.
I hope everyone could feel something when you sang and played the singing bowl. So let's take us back now, Shira, to the process. You're going to just recap here for everyone. You do a voice print or voice analysis. correct me if I'm wrong, and then you read that it comes out onto a graph with different barcodes that represent different frequencies that are in or out of alignment, and then you create this magical, what would you call this magical voice entrainment?
It's entrainment, yes.
Yes.
Ultimately, like if you were in my office, I would do a treatment on you using the crystal bowls that you're depleted in, bringing the sound to infuse your body. Like I would just have you on a massage table, you get still and quiet, and then I have 12 bowls. I have a bowl for every frequency, and then I would actually do a sounding process for if it's long distance, which we can, which is wonderful, and I have a lot of long distance clients. Then what happens is I create an individual set of tracks for you off of your voice print. We'll do an online connection. We'll take your print, I'll read it, and then we'll spend some time literally together in the kind of like the counseling session of what's happening with your print, explaining it to you, and then saying, you know, what are we going to do to fix this? What do we do to move forward in the entrainment process? And then I will create the tracks for you. And then I also have a set of what I call my client cards, which is about 12 years of research around each frequency. So sound is a really powerful, easy tool. Anybody can use the sound. That's the main reason that's my #1 tool. But on my cards, there are everything is frequency. We said that in the beginning. Food, nutrition, crystals, aromatherapies, flower essences, colors, shapes, everything is frequency. So my client cards group together things that you can do for the body in those frequencies. So if you don't really resonate with sound and it's not your favorite thing, you can pick something else. Or you can add things to your treatment process off of the client cards. So let's say that you're depleted in C and E. I would send you the client card for C and E so that you have all that information, a set of tracks to entrain those. I would teach you how to release on anything that is stuck, and then I would expect you to do your homework for 21 days.
Right. You know,
basically, because you.
That is a great explanation. I'm going to turn over to Roland now. He wanted to share some questions that we have. Go ahead, Roland.
Thank you. The people have been mesmerized, and there was a period where nobody was commenting at all because they were so listening to what you were saying. But when you got to the bowl, Chili Beans was saying, that was incredible. Not only was it a beautiful sound, I actually felt this in my body, chest specifically. She said, amazing. So the people are feeling it, and they're getting the sensation. Even if they don't understand it fully, a lot of people are going to feel what you're talking about. And, you know, that's what it's all about. But the question that I had to back up a bit was you were saying that you generate the soundtracks. Now, my question is, are they artificially, mechanically generated, or are these things that you do exactly the way you just showed us? Do you play the bowl? Do you sing? Do you use different things and interact with it personally? How do you generate the tracks?
Good question.
Okay, great. So here's what happens. I have a number of tracks. I actually have a CD called The Eyes of Light. The Eyes of Light CD is a set of tracks of all of the energy centers. So starting C, D, E, F, G, A, B, I have a track for every frequency. If a person, like if I'm doing something out, away from home, and we're doing kind of what I consider quick prints, which are not fun for me. They're hard to do something fast and, you know, give a person advice and let them go on their way. But at expos and things like that, we do that. Then what a person will do is buy the Eyes of Light CD, and they'll pull off the tracks that they need. So these tracks have been created in a studio, and I have one for each frequency that when I have a person like live in my office, I will I'll burn a CD on the spot for them out of the tracks that I have created. So they are using, all of my tracks have the bowls in them, and it's mostly like the groundwork for most of my tracks because the bowls are so powerful. And I love them, quite frankly. But a number of my tracks also have indigenous instruments in them, didgeridoos, drums, rattles, you know, just a number of different things. I have a couple of my tracks that also have keyboards and guitars in them. One of the things, and this is another piece I would really love to share with you, so this is a great question, Roland, is that my tracks are not in 440 tuning. If you don't know about music, don't freak out when I say tuning, okay? But basically, across the world, we all tune to 440A because it makes all of us come together harmonically and be able to play our instruments together. But there's a really powerful teaching. It's called raw music, R-A-M-U-S-I-C, or natural tuning, that Alan Howarth coined and teaches about. And I use that in my teachings. It's part of what I teach because it's so powerful. Our bodies are not in 440 tuning. Our bodies are in 424 tuning, which is earth frequency. It's a natural frequency. And Alan Howarth sussed this out through an array of amazing events in his life. And he's got some really great videos on his website, rawmusic.com, if you're interested in that. But so all my tracks are in 424 tuning. I've created them. So a lot of it, like I said, through studio work, but I've created them, and then I use those tracks for people to do their homework on.
So you pull the tracks that will be perfect for each person from all the things that you've done, correct, Shira? And then you give them, because I received custom tracks, which I think are fantastic. I almost feel like, just to tell all of you, I've never had heard anything like it, and you got a sample right now, but to me, I felt like I was entering another world, almost a heavenly space, and it's been very soothing for me to listen to these. I've just started, and I feel like something's happening, although it's still early on. I just started, but I feel very good listening to them.
So it may be early on, but know something, that we are in a stage right now in science, NASA, a lot of areas will validate this for us, that the electromagnetic fields of the Earth are shifting and changing so fast right now. And we are that. We are part of it. So what I'm finding is that, especially just recently, I mean within the last 4 or 5 months, clients are going, oh my God, this happened the day after. Oh my God, this happened. Oh my God, you know, it's like everybody's like, everything is like fast forwarding right now. So be ready. Be ready for the changes and welcome them, and just go with the flow, because there's big stuff happening right now, and it's happening very fast. Something else I want that I think is a really powerful piece of this work that I think this hangout really needs to hear is the essence of the power of the human voice. Okay? There is a study, I'm just getting ready, this has not been released yet, but it will be on my website soon. I'm going to post it to Facebook, and then there'll be a link on my website. That there's a study that I'm sharing that I'm going to tell you about right now. Dr. Fabien Mamong, a holistic practitioner, was in Paris for a long, long time. He's just moved here a couple of years ago, which is so fabulous. But he couldn't work here originally. They wouldn't let him. He worked at the Scientific Center for Research, and he also had his own holistic medical center. He was treating cancer with sound very well. He was eradicating cancer with sound for years, but he did all kinds of treatments and all kinds of studies with voice and humans, because he just knew the power of it, and he wanted to prove it. And he has a series of books that are really fabulous too, and he has a whole university now that he teaches out of, which is really amazing work. But this study that I show in my level 1 class, and that's going to be on my website soon, shows us the essence of the power of the human voice. He took what I told you about the glass and the woman breaking a glass with her voice. He took that concept, and he took the measurement of cancer cells. This is how he treated them. He took the hertz. He read them with machines, okay, with a Gauss meter. He read the frequency of the cancer cell. Then he fed that frequency back into the cancer cell. So he fed frequencies into the cancer cell, and he would explode the cancer cells with frequency.
Oh my.
Yeah, because it was specifically pointed at the cancer cell, no other cells in the body were affected by it. There were no side effects, okay? What he uncovered was this. He used all kinds of instruments in this study, but the most powerful instrument, the instrument that totally eradicated the cancer cell in 20 minutes, was the human voice. The other instruments took much longer and didn't have the same effects. The human voice was the powerhouse for eradicating the cancer. So what his studies revealed were 2 things. One, human intention is a huge thing. This is why I say be careful what you speak.
Yes.
Yes, it's a huge thing. It plays a big role in how we affect ourselves, our bodies, our worlds. But the other thing is this. The human voice has something called overtones. Overtones we do not hear with our naked ears. we are hardwired and patterned to hear one sound when people speak to us. But this is why when we look at the voice print, first off, we know we're not speaking one note. We have an array of notes coming out of our voice. But there is a hidden piece to the human voice that I am now bringing out to you so it won't be a secret anymore, that you have harmonic resonances that are being sounded every time you speak a note. These overtones can be seen. There's a free program online. It's called Overtone Analyzer. You can and you can download it for free, hook a microphone up to your computer and talk into it. And when you do that, it will show you your overtones, the things that you do not hear. This is another study and a piece of work that I bring to my classes, okay? So knowing that you have overtones, what Dr. Fabien Momon was revealing was that the overtones carry power. Here's what the overtones are. The overtones are the genetic patterning of your healing mechanisms in your DNA.
Wow.
Yeah. And so your voice carries this powerful mechanism of healing for your body. This is the only thing you ever need to shift and change anything in your body. You just learn how to use it.
It's so powerful. You know, we're running out of time. I know, Roland, I know we have just 2 minutes. I wanted you to say, we didn't mention this earlier, Shira. What have you done personally that have helped people here? What are some of the treatments that you've done? And you mentioned cancer. I don't know if we can go over just a little bit, but tell us what type of ailments you've worked on and what has been the effect.
Sure, a number of different cancers, depression, anxiety, diabetes, really a little bit of everything. Emotional disorders. I've worked with children who have like speech impairments or mental impairments, and I had one young boy who couldn't put a sentence together, and it took almost a year, but he is now speaking sentences to me, does his voice print beautifully every time I see him. Oh yeah, there's just everything can be affected because it's all frequency, okay? We just have to figure out what is the tool that you need. What do we need to bring to you to make these shifts and changes? But all processes are affected.
That is so powerful. And I remember you telling me how one person came to you with cancer, stage 4, no hope, just wanted help for pain, and you ended up working with this person and the cancer was healed.
He blew my mind. That man healed stage 4 bladder cancer in 8 months. I was blown away. It took me 2 years to grow bones in my leg. I was like, oh my God, what are we capable of? You know?
That's so amazing. That's why I think this is so powerful for everyone listening. You know, all of us have loved ones, even if we don't feel out of balance, and I think it's really important for them to know about this. Will you tell us, we're running out of time now, what gift you are giving to everyone, which I think is very generous, and how they can find you, your website, because it's not up here yet.
Oh, sure thing. I actually have on my website a number of CDs that I've created. The CDs have frequency soundtracks. So based on what frequency you would need to heal this process or to bring this into alignment, there's a frequency soundtrack, and then they are overlaid with affirmations. And I have a number of different ones, but we decided to give you the abundance track in an MP3 format that is downloadable. So if you will just email me, I think my email is on my bottom third there, but it's vibrationallysound@gmail.com, or you can go to the website and email me there via Shira@vibrationallysound.com, and I will be happy to send you the link. There's a page on my website where you can go and download that for free, and have that frequency work at your fingertips. And I would encourage you to listen to it every single day for at least 21 days for a major shift to happen for you. But it is my honor and pleasure to be of service and to be able to give that to you.
Thank you. So I'm giving the website here for everyone to take a look at, if Roland can post that, vibrationallysound.com. And Shira is saying that she doesn't have a sales page up, but you can email her, right, at Shira@vibrationallysound.com to get her Abundance CD, which she normally sells on her site. Roland, any last-minute takeaway for you? And then I'm going to turn to you, Shira, for some last thoughts. We are also privileged, I want everyone to know, that Shira is willing to stay right here in the green room after the recorded broadcast. So if you'd like to have a chance to meet her, we would welcome having you here. Roland, I'm going to turn to you. Any last-minute questions or comments you'd like to share?
As far as, first of all, when I was doing this a little while ago, I wasn't saying we have to stop the presentation. I was saying I feel you, Shira, because I feel what she's saying. I get the idea of vibrations, and what you've done, I can't even get it all out in a minute. You've linked science, music, astrology, and a bunch of other stuff, mathematics, and all this study, and shown that it's all linked together and it's all one. And Tammy Durden asked a question earlier about Christian scripture that says God spoke. And now that's basically the start of Genesis. God spoke. So even the Bible indicates that sound via God's voice was what started it all. And so to me, that's evidence that it's all one, all together. Now, God didn't create this part of the universe and then that part of the universe and this aspect. They say he took 7 days and added a bunch of stuff. But when he spoke, everything was here. And so all the stuff is interactive. And to me, it's like you are tapped in on reading this vibration frequency like nobody else that I've known. And it makes sense to me that you've got the beautiful voice that you do and the understanding of sound and the understanding of the science and the medical aspects of it with your background. It just wraps it all up. Say, God is using you as the instrument to speak this because you are qualified. And I just love it. So thank you very much for letting me blurt all that out. But I think that there's a much bigger conversation that could ensue from this if the people would like, and I'd love to do it. So it was my pleasure being here with you, and thank you.
Thank you, Roland. And Shira, any last thoughts that you'd like to leave with our audience here? Let them hear your final thoughts.
Sure. One, to Roland, thank you, bless you. But I want you to know something. I want everyone to know something. It's not about how it sounds to your ears, although I'm so grateful for your sweet words. I have some things to share maybe in the future about how it sounds, but it's about how it feels, people. It's about how it feels. So if you think you can't sing or you can't make a beautiful sound, I want you to just release that right now and know that every sound that you make is perfect. It's perfect. And it's about you bringing it to your body, and it's about you feeling it inside. And I think, Roland, one of the things you're talking to is you do feel it, you know, and that's wonderful. But you'd feel it if I went, ah, you'd still feel it. So what I want to say to everyone else is, boy, I'm just so blessed and honored and grateful to have been able to share this with you today. And know that I'm here. If you have any questions, I'm happy to connect with you via the website, emails, wherever direction you want to connect. I'd love to do this again in the future if there's, if there's a need for that or a want for that.
Of course, absolutely. There's no way we would refuse a thing like that.
Okay, cool. That's wonderful. I've totally enjoyed being with all of you, but I want everyone to know you hold the power. It's been stripped from us culturally, familially, through many, many avenues, but you hold the power to change your world. And I want to be here to hold you in that, help you learn it, be it. That's what it is. It's being it. And so connect. Let's connect and let's make the changes that we're all looking forward to.
Wow. Oh, Shira, that was beautiful. I was just going to say, your closing, you have the power, you own the power. And the only additional thing I would say is this is a handshake. That's what people use who are using sign language, and it means I love you. And I'm going to send that energy to you through sign. I love you, infinite love and gratitude. Heal those words, all of you, and let you know that we are all here for you. We all can make a difference in the world. We just have to decide it. It has to be within us to know, as you said, Shira, beautifully, we have the power and we can choose. So let's choose what makes us and others feel great in the world and spread that out to everyone. I love it. Okay, Roland, if you would be kind enough to share this link with with our audience, and whoever would like to join us in the green room, please do so. I will not be here next week, but we are planning something really big here at the Difference Makers, a Difference Makers Summit, where you're going to hear from top thought leaders on how each of you can build your difference and make a powerful impact in the world. Till then, again, thank you, Shira. I am so honored to know you and blessed to have you in my life, as well as you, Roland. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.